afternoon, everyone. Jazzleen here with Salvaje to bring you this week's Wild Report, a weekly show where we recap all of the Heroes of the Storm news, tea, and everything in between. How you doing today, Sal?
Hey, Jazzy. I'm doing great. CCL's roster lock deadline was this past Friday, June 17th, and oh boy, did we see some shuffling around. Simplicity released Berber, Apto, and Dulal, and acquired Slips, again, as well as added some fresh blood with Casper and Lupus. Some WildHeart alumni heading over to Simplicity. We love to see it. We'll see if these changes are a winning recipe for Simplicity to get through the gauntlet run, but we sure know it helped them this past weekend.
Those weren't the only changes we saw, though. Chilli Mountain also released Dino, an acquired Skog, to the surprise of many Chilli Mountain fans. Dino has been a core piece of the roster with great performances this season. Rumor has it that Dino may have had some issues around attending the LAN, and this is likely the reason for the change. He's still working with Chilli Mountain in a coaching capacity, though. I thought without Dino on the team, Chilli Mountain would struggle a little more on their path to LAN, but they still looked pretty decent into 30K this past weekend.
And it doesn't stop there, though. Storm also used a transaction as well, releasing Swamp Grata and acquiring Unaverted. Lots of changes here as we approach the final week of the regular CCL season. These are some last-minute changes, with some rosters looking completely different than from the beginning. Everyone is trying to do their best to get to the LAN, and I'm hyped to see how these changes pan out. Now, on to this weekend's matches.
On Saturday, things kicked off with WildHeart Esports taking on Granite Gaming. WildHeart showed up in game number 1 to kick off the series, running it down on Battlefield of Eternity, but things started to go a little rough for them in game 2. Azurite was able to get in a game on Medivh and had huge ley lines to really set up his team for the victory. From there, it was smooth sailing though. WildHeart took the series 3-1. Let's take a look at the highlights from the game. Yeah, this is great.
Good damage when you're in a lane against Junkrat is nice because it means you can't step up close because Junkrat. Oh,
look at this concussion mine. The stun comes out and Azurite goes down. Well played, Mason Blaze. He's showing he's comfy on Junkrat. It's very risky. Blaze is up here. WildHeart's around and knows what's happening. We have Ivy Tangs coming in on the flank, looking to drop some damage. Polymorph out. Here comes the light bomb. Condemn the blessed shield pop. That is a lot of ults down on the side of WildHeart. They don't have much up to continue through this fight. We're gonna see Haven pulled out to safety. A big root there. Bunker dropped, and now Mason Blaze just using that Naz ult to chase down the Diablo.
So
my gosh.
As we zoom out further, following sword from Jonah has kind of split Breeze, and the members of WildHeart will capitalize on top of that huge arrow into Poik. Haven going for the body block. Actually, I think Poik is still like just chasing out, looking for more here as the fort through mid falls. Cocoon onto the Sergeant Hammer. Wubby is going to be shockwaved in the top of our screen. Zergling with the god tier flank. Pentakill to the side of Granite, or to the side of WildHeart Esports.
Breeze rooted once again. There's the burrow out. Polymorph to shut down Haven, engage. Jet Propulsion not quite able to connect, and they are on core here. Mortal still pretty healthy as they push in. Shield's about to fall. There's an arrow out on Hanzo. Nice Jet Propulsion onto the Anubrak. He'll go down, and the collapse onto the team of Granite Gaming. Down goes the Hogger. SMX trying to stay alive here. Core is falling 20% and going down. Lightning Breath comes out, and WildHeart takes game number 1.
The second series was Chilli Mountain versus 30K. This match was very important for the standings going into the gauntlet. It was Chilli Mountain's next big test after defeating WildHeart last weekend. The two strongest teams finally facing off. Chilli Mountain kicked the series off with a win on Alterac Pass. Game 2 is looking good for Chilli Mountain. They were ahead for most of it, but in a classic HOTS fashion, ended up taking the loss after one bad late game fight. It was downhill from there, and 30K closes out the series with a 3-1, securing themselves first place in the regular season, as well as their spot at the LAN. Congratulations to 30K. We can't wait to see y'all there.
Moving on to Sunday, we got to see the match that a lot of CCL fans were keeping an eye on as an important tiebreaker in the standings. Diamond Hands versus Oxygen Esports. Both teams came into the weekend with a 3-2 match history. I have to say, I was expecting this to be a little easier for Oxygen than it turned out to be. All of these games, for the most part, were long, drawn out, and could have gone either way. In the end, though, Oxygen walked away with a 3-1 over Diamond Hands to break the tie.
The second series of Sunday was Storm Esports versus Simplicity. Simplicity's huge roster shakeup left everyone eager to see what they would be looking like this weekend. And Oh man, were we not disappointed. Simplicity came in with a shocking 3-0 sweep versus Storm Esports, and the only team to not drop a single game to Storm. Wow, it's really awesome to see the WildHeart alumni Lupus get his first CCL win.
Yay!
We couldn't be more proud of him. He seems pretty stoked himself as well, taking to Twitter to say, massive dub after the series.
With week 6 matches concluded, let's talk a little about my predictions on what the gauntlet will look like and what matches are important ones to keep an eye on this upcoming weekend. With 30K's victory match history, they will be taking first place in the regular season. WildHeart, Chilli Mountain, and Oxygen Esports are all likely favored to win their matches next weekend, ending the season with a 5-2 match history. However, when it comes to map wins, neither Chilli Mountain or Oxygen can overtake WildHeart at this point. We'll likely see WildHeart taking the second place spot in regular season, avoiding the gauntlet and securing their spot for LAN as long as they can beat Storm. Now here's where things get a little more tricky. Chilli Mountain is sitting 13-8 in map scores. Oxygen is sitting 13-9. Both are favored in their matchups this weekend, which will bring their map wins tied at 16. What is really important is the map losses here. Right now, Chilli Mountain has one less loss, and as long as they don't drop a single map, they get to avoid the gauntlet. Oxygen has to avoid dropping maps as well as pray for the Chilli Mountain losses to come through. What's more interesting though is that if both these teams end the season tied on map wins to losses, the tiebreaker is decided based on which team won in the regular season match. In this case, Oxygen would take third place due to the 3-0 into Chilli Mountain in the regular season. I'm predicting though that Chilli Mountain takes the third place, but honestly, it's a really tough call. I think both teams have the potential to drop games next weekend, so there's a chance where Oxygen takes it based on the head-to-head tiebreaker, which could make things really interesting.
Alright, so I'm gonna try to break it down a little bit as well with all of that math you just did, Jazzy. So, if Chilli Mountain takes third, that means your gauntlet runners in order from bottom to top will likely be Simplicity, Granite Gaming, Storm Esports, Diamond Hands, and Oxygen Esports. The teams to really keep an eye on this weekend are Oxygen and Chilli Mountain though. With a little luck, Oxygen could still sneak in that third place finish and avoid the gauntlet. Of course, there's still the possibility for some of the bottom teams to pull out a huge upset for next weekend. If Storm, Simplicity, or Diamond Hands pulls out a win, our predictions can go completely out the window. Did I get that right, Jazzy?
Yeah, that's all right, Selb.
So now moving on, we have this week's Meet the Team segment, where Jasleen sat down with WildHeart's offlaner, Zergling. Let's check it out.
Hello and welcome to our Meet the Team segment. This week I'm sitting down with Zergling, WildHeart's offlaner. Zergling, how are things going these days?
Pretty good. We're coming up with our last season of CCL, so everything's been looking good for standings, and overall it gets a nice weather outside too.
Alright. I usually start these things off by learning a little bit about our players' HOTS journey, but a lot of yours is already so well documented. Let's go back to 2018. You're playing on a little team called Scythe Esports. For those of you that don't know, back in the HGC days, relegation was a possibility for the bottom two teams in HGC. They'd be pitted against the top two teams from Open Division, one of which happened to be Scythe Esports. Scythe went on to win their spot in HGC, facing off against Simplicity and finishing the best of 7 series in a 4-2, but unfortunately, we all know what happened months later, the cancellation of HGC without Scythe ever getting their shot. HGC cancellation must have hit hard for you. We as a community mourned its end, but for you to be so close to having your shot at being a pro player, what was running through your head when you heard the news?
A lot of disbelief, or like almost like a prank almost, because they didn't do it until like the week of Christmas.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to tell us back in November, and we had leaks from people that worked at Blizzard that it was a for sure there's going to be a season, because that's very important to know. And I was full-time student at the time with research as well, and I was juggling that with HGC, double scrim blocks, and it was a lot of time out of my day. And I remember I was coming up to my last semester for my graduation for bachelor's, and I was like telling my family that I made it, because you know this happened months in advance, and I was like, hey, this is what I'm planning on doing. My long-term goal was, I just graduated, yeah, but I'm gonna try to pursue this HGC thing, and My goal was to stream because obviously HCC doesn't pay the bills exactly the way you like. But if you tag on streaming and some winnings and play the game that you love to enjoy, and give it a go for a little bit. I'm young. So that was like my plan was to become a streamer, stream consistently, play some HCC, get my name out there, and start see where it goes. And that's what I kind of wanted to do. So when it got pulled out from underneath me, I had to reevaluate my goals in my life and what I wanted to do. And then I think shortly after, I applied to graduate school for my master's in chemistry, and I decided to go down that route. So that's kind of how it went.
So we saw a lot of pro players abandon the scene after HGC was canceled. Were you still regularly playing the game leading up to CCL?
I played consistently. I played a couple things with like Hosty, Cattle, and a couple other players, I believe. Maybe even BBJ occasionally. I forget. But there was a couple players that stayed around after, and there were some tournaments because everyone was like, "Oh, this sucks. We're gonna throw some things." Because at the end of the day, I spent all that time, all that effort, and I got absolutely nothing out of it. No monetary value, nothing, just wasted time. So it kind of left a huge sour taste in my mouth. So I didn't play the game at the time, like Storm League, because Storm League wasn't that fun for me anyway. And ARAM's the only thing that was fun. I played ARAMs and like Storm League with my girlfriend, but that was about it. That was fun. It was these little like tournaments or ARAM things, and then I think after I graduated with my bachelor's and I realized I needed to get prepared for my master's, that took a lot of time out of my day. I just dropped HOTS completely, and I think I played about League for the first time ever for about a year, which was pretty fun. You got to learn all the heroes, but in the end, Heroes was still my favorite MOBA. So going from Heroes to League, and then realizing I had a lot of fun with League, played some friends, and then when CCL got announced, I was like, well, I'm already, I'm grad school. This is more important than Heroes. This is not a full-time thing. I understand it's a community league. It's basically like a pickup game on the weekends with like basketball, like playing with friends. So that's the way I treated it as such, and that's kind of what I've been doing while I've been progressing, hitting my life goals on the way.
All right. I mean, that kind of answers my next question a little bit, but what kept your heart in the game and wanting to come back for CCL?
Definitely just the game itself. The game is very fun. The community is very, very awesome. I think the game feels the best out of all the MOBAs I've played. Cause I tried Dota, I tried League, and it's just something about Heroes that's more fun. Different types of maps make it interesting. The different heroes have a play style, and the fights are slower. There's more decision making. So at the time, I was pretty rusty, but I remember coming into it, I was like, the best thing I would like to do is be able to play the game and enjoy it again, and then also be able to play with a group of people that I would enjoy playing with as well. As soon as I told myself, and I also told my girlfriend at the time, because I included her in all my big decisions on what I want to do and commit time to, I was like, hey, as soon as this becomes unfun to me, I'm done playing this. I'm just gonna just leave, and then that's it. That's my decision. So obviously, I got drafted for season 1, stuck around, and here I am.
All right, well, let's talk a little bit about that. You've been with WildHeart since the beginning, in a main roster spot since season 1. In season 1, you had some other veteran players kind of help guide the team. With those players gone, how's your role changed over the course of 4 seasons?
I think the biggest change was I got to play with Justy, which was a treat, and also Buds, with the 2 big ones. I was friends with them during HCC, and there was an opportunity that I could have played on their team if I didn't make Crucible playing as an offlaner for their team, because at the time their offlaner Goku moved to range, so there was a spot for me to try out for them. I made Crucible, so that was an option for them, so they got someone else. But I always liked their style. I always liked the way they played the game, and it was fun to play it. I didn't have to do the drafting as much. Justin took over. I offered input. Got to play with new players I like to play with, and their goal was to have fun, try new things, and play a lot of things. And I think a lot of season 1 moments for WildHeart was very fun to watch. It was very unique. We had Gladiator's Medallion in there a little bit. And, like, it was we did some weird things. We had some fun. I think we ended up placing second. So that was super fun and enjoyable. And then after that, they played another season. That's when I dropped off considerably. I was coming up to my last semester for my master's, and I had to write my thesis and all that, so I stepped away. And I think that kind of hurt our team, me stepping away from us, and also we weren't scrimming as much because people were pursuing other life goals. And the second season didn't work out, and then the third season, Buds and Justin were done. Justin went to analyst, and then I had to take over drafting and kind of like the coach role, because there's not really coaching anymore. Really, there's only Cavalier Guests and maybe a couple other people in other orgs.
All right, let's kind of move away from CCL and HOTS. Like a lot of our other WildHeart players, you have a lot going on outside of HOTS. Can you tell us a little bit about what you're pursuing for your goals in your personal life right now?
Well, if anyone has looked at the economy at all, it's not doing too hot worldwide. I have re-signed my lease. I'm happy at my current job. Love my current company. I'm here for another month because I moved across the country to Pennsylvania, away from my family from Chicago. So I'm going to be working here at least 2 years, reevaluating next year what I want to do with my career, if I want to continue down the path I'm going down, which is like pharmaceuticals and things like that, or branch out into a different position. And it really depends on how the economy is looking and if I want to move back to the Midwest, or do I want to try a different state or stay here. So I really don't know what my future technically holds. All I know is I just want to make more money. So at the end of the day, I want to invest in my own skills. So I'm pursuing other things on the side for my work to benefit not only my work, but also look at other career opportunities to pursue other things that interest me. And that's kind of where I'm at. And I got back from vacation. I was playing on a beach, on an island actually, on a laptop. So it was just make sure I'm taking care of myself, relaxing, getting some breaks and stuff while I pursue my career. Well, CCL is kind of like my little hobby right now with HOTS, and that's kind of where I'm at. So I'm just playing it by ear and working on myself.
Nice. All right, so to wrap things up, I'm sure you're aware that WildHeart's running a campaign right now. If you post a picture of yourself outside with the hashtag WHTouchSomeGrass on Twitter, you'll be entered to win a WildHeart t-shirt. What do you like to do that gets you outside and touching some grass?
Well, I was just at the beach, so I like going to the beach. That's sand, though. I touch some grass sometimes when I'm walking to the basketball court to play basketball. That's a big one. And I think the last one would be going on walks. So me and my girlfriend, if it's really nice out, or even if it's a little hot, just getting out of the house, going for a nice walk. There's a lot of places in Pennsylvania full of nature and history. Going to a state park or walking along the Delaware River, things like that. It's very relaxing. So that's kind of what we do. And we, always try to stay active and stay healthy and make sure that we get outside.
Great. All right, well, thank you so much for sitting down with me this week, Zergling. It was great to learn a little bit more about you. We're going to send it back on over to Salvaje for the rest of the Wild Report. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Man, it's so great to hear more about Zerg, but it's going to be even better to meet him and the rest of our guys at the LAN. Speaking of, y'all have heard it here every week. WildHeart will be hosting a pre-game party at the Fair on 4 inside the Mall of America on August 4th. And we couldn't help but notice the league commissioner, Jules, practicing her axe throwing the other day. We hope to see you there. If you plan on attending the LAN, this is a must on your list of things to do. Come on out and meet the WildHeart team and crew and get yourself some WildHeart swag and some surprises while you're there. Speaking of WildHeart swag, want a chance at winning some for free? Our summer campaign to get gamers outside is running until September 5th. If you post a picture of yourself on Twitter with the hashtag WHTouchSomeGrass, you will be entered to win a WildHeart t-shirt. One post equals one entry, so get outside and show us your wild side.
Last but not least, be sure to check out the CCL matches this weekend. WildHeart will be playing the first series on Saturday. You can catch it on the Wisdom Gaming Twitch channel or on Grubby's channel starting at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's it for now. See you next week where we'll break down the final standings for the regular season of CCL. Bye-bye!